All right. I am going to declare us live, as I always do, Tuesday, 2:30, Awesemo.com PGA Strategy Show. Myself, Ben Rasa, here with FantasyGolfMan, Tim Frank. We're ready to go, and we didn't really have to go anywhere. We are at Muirfield Village. Once again, the Memorial. Truly one of my favorite tournaments of the year. Great tournament, Tim. Not as good as John Deere, though, right?
Yeah, not as good as John Deere, not as good as Rocket Mortgage, stuff like that. Yeah, this feels like a major, and I think I saw a tweet of it's the strongest regular season field in a very long time. Like stronger than playoff fields, stronger than some of the Masters events. Like this is a legit field at a legit course. A little cloudy because now we're seeing it a second week in a row, and we got to try and figure out changes to the track and if it's going to play more difficult like they're saying it is. I don't know. But yeah, definitely good field, good course. You got to like that.
No doubt about it. We're going to get into the course because I do think it's worth talking about again. We're going to get into a sponsor super draft in a little bit. They're doing some really exciting things today and tomorrow, which I'll talk about shortly. But we'll talk a little workday. We didn't get to see it on TV. Did you? I mean, truly epic. I had no horse, dog in that fight or whatever, but those two putts back to back, insane. You don't really see that in golf too often.
No, yeah, that was huge. That was really cool. And props to Morikawa, kind of, after coming in 2 weeks, he had a missed cut in a lackluster event. You were sharp enough to tout in last week. I obviously said no thanks, and then he went on to win. But yeah, he was just nails, and JT was great too. It was just a good finish. But yeah, Morikawa was the real deal.
It was one of those situations for me where I liked him because I didn't like Hovland, which obviously didn't work out. And then Ricky ended up taking more than both. So he's just, you've known this for more than the way Morikawa strikes long irons is just unbelievable. I certainly did not expect him to win that tournament last week, but the guy is just, all of them. Same with Hovland. Like if Hovland's around the green is what it was last week, he's going to be dominant forever because that's his only weakness. And it wasn't really a weakness after that first 9. He was 3 over through 10 holes, and then he rattled off 6 birdies to close Thursday.
Oh, we can talk around the green stats when we get to Hovland. I got some stuff prepared.
Beautiful. All right.
I'm ready for you.
You're ready?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we don't need, like I said, I don't think we need to spend too much time on workday just because, again, we're going to be here. So I'm just going to get to the important things. Super Draft sponsoring the show. If you guys haven't gone over there yet, you need to go sign up for their multiplier mode. Different format. You're going to get options, no salary constraints. You can take those top end guys. They're around 1x. Go all the way down to the big bonus players, 1.5, 1.6x. If you haven't signed up, use the promo code Awesemo10, and it's $10 free on your first deposit of $10 or more, and $20 total free on your first deposit of $100 or more. I also want to say tomorrow night, 8:30, live before lock, Super Draft is giving away 15 entries, 15 tickets into their tournament. So obviously you need to get in chat tomorrow night. They've been doing some giveaways there. It's literally it's just free. Come on over, get a chance to get in the game. So if you haven't signed up for Super Draft, we encourage that. No better time to do it right now. I know some people have really had success, and we'll be talking about their plays throughout, but I want to just get right to it because we got a lot to do. Let's get to Muirfield. I think, and I've been wrong on this a lot lately, I think this week we're actually going to see the course punch back. I expect really difficult conditions. Do you think it's going to change from what we saw last week?
Yeah, I think it's going to change. They said they're going to try and make it more difficult. And traditionally, Muirfield Village plays as one of the more difficult events, more difficult tracks when it's played as the Memorial. Last week kind of saw more of the same, easier, but we thought it was going to be set up easier. They said the greens were going to be slower. They said the rough was going to be shorter, and they've come out and said, yeah, we're going to make it tougher this week. Now how much tougher? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think it's going to play like a US Open. I don't think it's going to be a 9 under winning score or 10 under, but yeah, I expect it to be slightly more difficult. But, I don't know if that's enough for me to really change any strategy, to be honest, because we really don't know how much more difficult it is. And if it's just a couple strokes, I mean, if the stroke average is a half a stroke harder, which is significant, but I don't know, how much that will change what we're doing, except for maybe a little more emphasis on around the green. But I don't think I'm changing much from last week.
So I definitely think it's gonna play a little harder than you do. I don't know exactly. We'll have to see with the weather. Weather's no guarantee right now. It looks a little sketchy, but I think they will have the ability to get things more punishing off the tee, push some scrambling. I'm not saying US Open where it's like if you're under par, you have a chance to win. But I'll say this. I have a feeling that the cut for a change may creep into the plus. Like I wouldn't be stunned to see a +1 cut or something like that. Which nowadays, it's like, do you think it'll be 5 or 6 under?
Yeah, it's out of control. It's like, wait, my guy shot 70, 69 and he's not playing on the weekend.
He gets the under 70 bonus, but he's firmly eliminated.
I don't even remember what were JT and Morikawa at in the playoff? Was it 20?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was 19.
19 or 20. Yeah.
Yeah, right around that. JT, it was crazy. I mean, we don't need to bounce back, but like when he eagled, I honestly turned it off.
Yeah, that's what everybody was like. It's done.
Yeah, it's completely done. I was watching the ponies, and then I came back and I was just like, oh my God. So this is going to be, listen, we're going to talk throughout the show about this. There's no right answer. It's not do the opposite of last week. It's not play the leaderboard from last week. It's a fine line of taking what we saw and not overreacting, but also you got to consider it. I think ownership's going to overreact to it, though. There's no doubt about it. Is there anything in particular? Is it around the green that you think maybe changes the most in terms of skill set?
I mean, I would say so. Anytime you're making the course more difficult or anytime it's a more difficult course than normal, I think you put a little bit more emphasis on around the green, because anything that they toughen up on the way to the green is going to lead to more missed greens, whether you call it longer rough, narrower fairways, whatever, lengthening the course or anything, harder pin positions. In the end, that's really, it all is going to lead to more missed greens. So, I mean, I'm not a huge around the green guy, but yeah, this is going to play more difficult than last week. And I will put a little bit more emphasis on around the green, but I'm really not, and I'm with you. I'm not saying play the leaderboard from last week or just play all the same guys from last week. But as far as my analysis goes from week to week, I'm not changing too much. I think you kind of hit on it. There's going to be leverage with the guys that did not play well last week. I mean, I think that's going to be obvious because people are just going to gravitate to the guys that played well. They're like, oh, and it's hard to not to. Your brain is just going to say, well, we just saw JT. We just saw all these guys. They played great at the same course. And that goes from week to week when we're at different courses. Everybody wants to play just all the guys that played well. Now you get them at the same course. I think it goes without saying there's going to be leverage on guys like Brooks, or even, less obvious ones that maybe made the cut but just sort of underachieved. And we can talk about those guys as we get along. And
both ways. I mean, again, we're going to dive into it in a second, but like Woodland heroes the cut, shouldn't have made it. Then he comes in like fourth. It can change so rapidly with that cut. If he would have missed the cut, nobody would be interested.
There were so many guys that I felt like somebody shared a lineup that ended up doing great. And it was all guys. And I was like, if you had this lineup on Friday afternoon, you were dead. It was like Day, Horschel, Woodland, Cantlay. And it was like
2 of 6.
Yeah. You were like thinking there's no way I'm even getting like 3 of 6. And then it ended up smashing. It was really a weird week. There was a lot of guys that just did make it in on the number, and then really shot up the leaderboard on the weekend. Woodland, Cantlay, guys like that. It was crazy. And then I was watching guys like Hideki and Cameron Champ look like they were playing Oakmont or something.
Yeah, Oakmont on steroids. Hideki can't even beat Chase Seifert and someone else in a 3-ball on Sunday. But
you were a week early on the Chase Seifert love.
It was that kind of week for me. Just like, yeah, that hurts. Chase Seifert is someone that I played, and I certainly didn't get to him last week. I played him 2 weeks ago when he started good. Missed the cut, but that's, you know what? That's the name of the game. I'm one of many people that if I just changed all my plays last week, I would have won $1 million. Really easy to say that, but let's go. Here we go. 10K plus. Bryson leading us off. He's the only 11K. JT, who is the true 1X over on Super Draft, he comes in at 10,900. Rory, 10,700. DJ, and then the champ from last week, Morikawa. This is a major. Like, this is what we see at the top of the top. What do you say? We got the big boys up here.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I like Bryson again this week. I think everyone's kind of in the same boat. There's no reason not to like Bryson. I think ownership is really going to be one of the main reasons why people get away from him. But he's just, been amazing. Hasn't finished worse than 8th on the restart. But one of the things I wanted to point out about him is everybody makes a huge deal about the off the tee game, and he's great. Best off the tee player on tour, maybe the best that we've seen ever if he keeps up at this rate. But people kind of talk about, he ran hot with the putter, and that's why he won. And it's true, he did lead the field in strokes gained putting, but he's just a good putter. If you look back at the last 2 seasons, he was 32nd and I think 28th the last 2 years in strokes gained putting. I think he's just a good putter. So is he going to lead the field in strokes gained putting every week? No. Do we love to rely on putting? No. But I think, we've seen this kind of in his range of outcomes. I mean, he is a good putter, and I think that's something that people don't take into account. They're like, he just ran hot with the putter, and that was that. But I think he's a good putter, and you combine that with the overwhelming off the tee game and a good approach game. I know his wedges aren't as good as we would like. He's not as good with those short irons and wedges. But overall, the approach game is well above average, and good putter. I mean, he looks like he's primed to do, kind of what Brooks did or what we've seen Rory do. I know he's going to be owned, but really hard for me to get away from him here, especially on a par 72. I know this isn't quite a bomber's paradise, but if he hits the fairways on these par 5s, he's hitting like short irons, and it's just like, gimme birdies.
Sand wedges. It's very interesting. And first thing, most important, appreciate it. UK Cat, hit the like button for us. I didn't say it at the beginning of the show. We got all the regulars in here. Let's pump it up. Bryson he is a good putter. He's not that good. No one's that good of a putter. So it's going to be very interesting. This reminds me, honestly, you know what it reminds me? You ever see Ninja Turtles 2 with the ooze, Secret of the Ooze?
No, I am not.
Okay, well, if we had more time, I'd delve into that. But at that point, Shredder, he drinks the ooze, he becomes super Shredder. That's what Bryson reminds me with Cameron Champ, because Champ is the other guy that does this off the tee and putting. Bryson is just doing it to the most extreme. Like, you don't need to have good irons if you're driving it this well and if you're making all your putts. Like, you just literally need to hit the green.
But where Champ is awful with the irons, Bryson is actually good. He gets a lot of crap for not being good with the wedges, but overall, he's plus in the iron play category.
Chat knows. Yeah, Vanilla Ice is in that movie. Which
I did not think we were going to go there. I mean,
no, neither did I. Believe me, I have some show notes, but Secret of the Ooze wasn't in them. I'll just say this. There's multiple ways to get it done. Bryson, yes, if his wedges were on, it would be mega over, but he gives himself so many chances if he can be that aggressive. Now, ownership's going to tell the tale. We're only talking about one guy. If Rory is less owned than Bryson, I will obviously go to who I think is the best player in the world in Rory. Take the discount. You've got JT. I have no problems with him. DJ is the most interesting in terms of leverage for me. I think he gets a little lost. I'm not going to go to Morikawa. I just truly don't think he's that good yet. It's not a knock on his game, but you're talking about literally the best players in the world.
Yeah, I think Bryson will be the most owned, then JT. I don't think people will go to Morikawa, and I don't like him. And then that kind of leaves DJ and Rory as the under-owned guys. And yeah, I mean, this is a major. I mean, it's really hard to discern between these guys. I'm obviously preferential to Bryson just by the way he's playing. But if you're going to get significant ownership discounts, which I almost guarantee you are going to get a significant ownership discount on Rory over Bryson,
it feels
that's definitely something you need to think about.
Listen, and obviously behind the paywall, we have some ownership out right now. It's very prelim because it's Tuesday. We're going to see what we project. I think with the way Bryson's taken everything by storm, he's gonna steam pretty hard. And Rory's been not bad by any stretch, but he hasn't been as crisp. He's blew a couple Sundays here and there. So you're gonna have options. It's tough to break down these fields. Chat, we do the best we can. It's hard. You can't just say though, like, you know what? No JT, no, like these guys are all fantastic. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
it's nuanced.
It's really hard at the top, and anyone that really says they know exactly what is going to happen with these four guys who are the best players in the world, who any of which, if they have their A game, can absolutely torch the field. And we wouldn't be surprised if any of them came out and just torched the field. Anybody who says they know for sure what is going to happen with these guys, they're just guessing, and maybe they'll be right and maybe they won't. But yeah, ownership is probably the most important thing, definitely out of these top four guys, I would say.
Absolutely. And, if you're building enough lineups, I'm going to have positions on most of them. Morikawa will be left off. And if he does it again, I have to live with that. You can't play everybody up here. And that's just, that top end range. Now we move down to the 1.1Xs over on Superdraft and the 9K range. Talk about world class. We've got Cantlay, Webb, Hovland, Decky, Rahm, Xander, Brooks. I almost like this range more.
I don't know if I've been excited for like a 9K range as this. Just completely loaded world-class players, guys that are just, a half a notch below Bryson, JT, Rory, DJ. But any of these guys can go toe-to-toe with Bryson and JT and Rory. I mean, it wouldn't be, if they were in the final group, you wouldn't think anything of it. If the leaderboard come Sunday afternoon was Rahm, Decky, and Xander, you would say this is a star-studded leaderboard. The cream has risen to the top. You wouldn't say, oh, well, we're missing the greatest players. No, these are the greatest players, and you're getting a discount, and I'm with you. I mean, I think you could play three of these guys. It's going to be scary to fade everybody above 10K, but, I mean, they're not that much worse. I'll start with, God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm going to start with Webb. It hurts to say it at 9,600 because he's kind of the antithesis of all these other young guns who hit the ball a mile. But, I mean, he's just playing great. And at 9,600, I think the price is good. We've seen him the last 2 times out. He was 8th at Travelers and 1 at RBC. Ball striking was good at both events. And I've said this before, if you take off the tee out of the equation, he is an elite player. He hasn't finished outside of 23rd the last 2 seasons in the other 3 facets of the game. Approach, around the green, putting. He was 23rd or better the last 2 full seasons in those events. And I mean, this is a par 72. It's longer, but it doesn't completely favor the Bombers. We saw Jerry Kelly last week average 257 off the tee and finish in the top 30. And we've seen plenty of short hitters do well here. Duffners, Strickers, guys like that. So, I mean, it doesn't require a lot of length. And, I mean, besides off the tee, which is an important part of the game, he's elite. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. So, I mean, I like him at 9,600.
The other thing with Webb, even though I'm not a big fan, his off the tee game is not horrible. It's not great, but it's not like when we talk about someone like Wesley Bryant, like there are guys where it's like, well, they can't not lose 3 strokes off the tee. Webb is like a 0 off the tee a lot.
Yeah.
And that's not bad.
No.
So this range is full of really interesting plays for a couple different reasons. 2 guys in particular I want your thoughts on. They were pretty bad last week, and then Sunday they were out of their minds. Cantlay and Rahm, Sunday specifically, they went out with nothing to play for, and they did what we know they can do. Rahm in particular he had like one of the best ball striking rounds we've seen in recent years. Shot 8 under. I really like Rahm in this spot. I know he's going to be somewhat popular because of the price drop, but I liked him last week, and I think the harder conditions actually help him. Do you like him? Do you like Cantlay?
I would prefer Rahm just because of the savings of $500. I mean, I kind of feel like all of these guys in this range are almost interchangeable. So I'll let price and ownership dictate kind of where I go. I mean, nothing wrong with Cantlay. Obviously loves this place. A win, a 4th, a 7th last week. Seemingly doesn't play a lot of golf, but when he plays, very good. 9,800, I would prefer Rahm at 9,300. But Hovland. I'm playing Hovland again.
All right, yeah. Talk to me about Hovland. So he burned me. I was completely wrong, obviously, last week. Didn't play him. We know. Tee to green, he gained 15 strokes. Go ahead. The floor is yours. You think he can keep this up 6 straight weeks now playing?
Yes. Well, he didn't have to drive very far. And like I said on Twitter, he's playing so well. It's not even like playing 6 events. It's like playing 5 events.
Strokes. I know.
He's out there shooting like 64 every round. But yeah, I think it was Justin Ray that tweeted the stat. He's led the field in tee to green his last 3 events. And I think he's the first player ever to lead the field in tee to green in 3 consecutive events. The ball striking just off the charts. Like, it breaks the scale, plus 12.4, plus 7.9, plus 10, plus 7.2. And we talked about around the green being maybe a little bit more important this week, and that was his weakness. But he's been a positive around the green player. So he's gained about 4 strokes around the green. Now that's cumulative over his, what is he played? 5 events now? 6 events?
5.
5 events. So he's positive around the green since we've come back. And I think that's huge. The putting is still bad, but the guy, the scoring with him is off the charts. He seemingly has like 3 eagle putts a week from like inside 10 feet and another like 2 or 3 from like 25 feet. It's insane. He scores like crazy. The ball striking is awesome. I'm not worried about him playing 6 weeks in a row. I guess the only thing with me is I'm not taking a victory lap. I've played him every week, and it's like when you're on a guy and he keeps performing and you keep playing him and it's like you're getting good results every week. I was on the opposite side of this with Morikawa before the break, where I didn't play him and he was performing well. And I'm like, well, I'm not jumping on now. I'm not jumping on. And I just kept getting punished. I've kind of gotten all the positive results out of Hovland. So maybe I have a different mindset than other people who have faded him.
So I'll tell you, from someone that hasn't been on him a ton, I actually feel pretty fortunate. He's lost strokes, but like, he honestly couldn't do much worse than 11th, 12th, and 3rd in his last 3. Like, if you would have told me a guy led the field tee to green, what did he come in? I would assume he won and, a couple other top 10s. Listen, when you're evaluating these fields, you have to, of course, see if you like the play, but it's not just about that. It's, do you like Hovland more than Webb? Do you like Hovland more than Decky, more than Rahm, more than Xander, more than Brooks, more than Tiger? I'm not saying it's going to be flat 0 again for me, but I just can't possibly get there. I tend to be too late on guys. Maybe he's this good, but like, Decky is also striping it. Maybe not that much, and his putter is possibly broken. But do you have no interest in Decky, who's, tee to green, he's as good as anyone, and he's done it for a lot longer?
I do have interest in Decky. And yes, plus 8.3 last week, plus 7.7 the week prior. Those are really, really good numbers.
He can't putt, though.
I like Decky this week. Not as much as some of the other guys in this range. But for him, I just feel like we're getting on a long time since we've seen him win. And I know he's going to win, but boy, it's like we've just seen this over and over and over, where he just strikes it great. He's like a better version of Grillo. Like, he just strikes it great, and just like the putter it's never coming. It's never coming. When has he been in really contention? I just feel like I played him all last year and was just, this is like the same thing. Like, he's not killing you, but you're like, he just never quite gets there. And that's what's bothering me, because it's been like 3 years now of the same thing.
The problem with him, he's a low variance putter. That's even worse to me. No, I'm not joking. Like, there are some guys who are terrible putters, but they occasionally gain like 4 strokes, and then they lose for months. Decky just loses every time. Looking back, he hasn't gained more than 4 strokes putting, which is that's a damn good tournament. That happens in over 2 years. Like, of course, he's had some positive results in there, but he's gaining 1, 2.6. Like, that's nothing. That's an average, little weak. I'd rather have a guy lose 3, lose 2, lose 1, gain 10, lose 3, like, because you can, when you get them right, you cash all the chips in.
I think if I was just looking at numbers and I wasn't a guy that had played Decky a lot over the past 3 years, I would probably like him more, but it's just like, damn, I've been down this road every single week. And just like the last 2 weeks are a perfect microcosm of like how he's been for like 3 years straight of just great ball striking. And you're just like T22. It's like he's kind of right there. Like he was there and then he's not, it's just he never just quite gets there.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried the last 2 weeks, I've had pretty sizable top 20 bets on Decky just being mega punished as he crumbles. It is. Listen, I'm not going to rule Decky out. He's certainly going to be in my player pool, but priorities for me are Rom. Brooks, I think, is the most interesting target. He found something late in that round. He decided to play and tee it up here. Wild card, last guy, and then we can get down. Are you going to play Tiger at all?
No.
No, me neither. I don't think chat, this is the other thing. And we got really good discussion because we got a ton of sharp people in chat. Not everybody can be popular. I know it seems like when you look at, Rahm has to be popular, price drop. Well, Cantley has to be popular, he dominates. Everyone plays Tiger. How can you not play Hovland? He's playing so good. They can't all be popular. So it's either going to be flat ownership or some of these guys are going to come in under-owned.
I think it's going to be really flat.
Yeah. So then you're just taking best available. You're just looking, who would you rather have?
Yeah. And I mean, we haven't even, I think Xander might be a guy that people don't play. I never get him right. But one of these weeks, I'm going to stumble into good Xander. And this seems like a sneaky spot for him. He's like played okay, but not great. He maybe is under the radar. I just want to stumble into the 1 week where I get good Xander because it's never happened for me.
Yeah, I tried to play Xander in Sunday Showdown thinking I'm a genius, and Rahm and Cantlay mega punished me while Xander just like floundered around. Him and Leishman, who we will get to, it is impossible to get them right. But before we do 8K range, this is where you want to talk about someone that's hard to get right. Justin Rose leads us off. We've got Rose, Ricky, Berger, Woodland, Answer, Reed, Finau, Sunjay, Fitzy, Kuchar, and Day. Still world-class players, but now we're talking more mid-range. I mean, I want to start with the top guy. I want to start with Rose. He was horrendous last week. But long-term, he likes Memorial, and he's a damn good player. Do you go back?
I mean, I'm not going back.
Okay.
It was really bad. The irons were really, really bad, like concerning. It wasn't like, it was like, no, I think he lost like 3 or 4. It was like, I don't even know what it was.
I have it right here. If you want to see the damage, Rose lost 4 strokes on the approach.
Yeah.
Another 6 around the green.
Secretly go back to the Hanmas or whatever. And he's also, I mean, he's just a couple $100 cheaper than these guys that are like elite plays. So no, not for me. I mean, we can look at ownership and let that guide us. And sure, Rose is going to come in significantly lower owned. But boy, he just doesn't seem like he's in the same tier as Brooks or Xander or, something like that. I would even go back to Ricky, he was good, but not great last week. T22, another guy, kind of like Decky, just seemed like he was right around the fringes of being in it. Off the tee was really good. Approach is not so great. Short game good. But he's stringing together 2 decent weeks. I'd prefer Fowler over Rose just based on how he's played the last couple weeks.
Ricky, listen, he's one of my favorite golfers. I play him a ton, so I happen to watch, really look at his stuff close, and he just cannot stop these nonsensical doubles that kill rounds. He flirts with the cut while he's in contention, and then you see him on the weekend, and he tries to turn it on for spurts. He looked so good there. He got it together, made a little charge, and then he seemingly turns it off. I do think he's closer than most. I like the play. Again, I have no problem with the price, but he just needs to clean up those mistakes. When you're talking about fields like this, these other guys they don't have 9s where they just completely melt down like that. And Ricky seems to not have the putter lined up with the ball striking. So it's a big risk reward, but I like that price. 8,800's pretty fair in my opinion.
Yeah, don't mind him at all.
Okay.
What about Berger?
No.
I don't like Berger. Because this dude has a type of course that he plays well at, right?
Preach.
Short courses, par 70, Bermuda. We've seen him win twice at St. Jude. We saw him win at Colonial. We saw him contend at RBC. These are all really short tracks. I don't like him here at all. Longer par 72, bent grass green, tougher conditions. Are people going to go there?
I definitely think people are going to go there. I have my betting article posted. This is, I mean, listen, we all know there's no locks. It's not even close to that. I hit Ricky against Berger head to head so incredibly hard this week, minus 105. If Berger plays well here, he has turned a corner. This is not the spot for him. You just mentioned it. I'm going to say everything you just said. He excels at par 70s and Bermuda tracks. We've seen it time and time again. The courses he played coming out of the break, perfect spots for him. And he was fantastic. He gained a bunch too much with the putter. He gained 5 strokes putting in both, but the ball striking was great too. He's obviously a damn good player. Memorial, and I'm not going to pick, I will say he's played here twice and he's played horrible both times. That doesn't mean anything. But more importantly is if you asked me how do you think he would play here, I would say pretty bad. I don't love the spot at all for him. Easy fade in my book. Like Ricky, I'd even rather go talk to me about these guys. So we have Woodland. Answer is back. And chat wants to talk about him. And then Patrick Reed.
Was this like cash out king level bet?
Well, I don't know if anyone's cash out king level bet, but let's just say I'm going to have to sell the owl painting if I lose this one.
All right. I think out of the guys you mentioned, Answer would be my option at 8,500. We haven't seen him in a couple weeks, but when we saw him coming out of the break, was just on fire. 14th, 2nd, and 11th. Ball striking, really good to outstanding in the 2 of the events. 3rd event where he finished T11 was right around average, I guess. But he just played great since we've come out of the break. He'd be my preferred option. Woodland, I don't know. The guys that kind of sneak in on the number and then go crazy, I don't know. Maybe it's a mental thing. That doesn't inspire as much confidence as a well-rounded T5 where you play actually well for 4 days in a row. Could be a mental thing on my part, but I prefer Answer. Where we've seen it, 3 events, 12 rounds of really, really good ball striking. Woodland has been spotty. I mean, long term, I like Woodland, but he's been a little all over the board since we've come back.
He really has. Yeah, I'm not really on Woodland. Answer I have no problem with. He's a good driver of the ball. I still think ultimately we're riding a premium tag for him. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's this good in a field this strong, but you can still justify it. Patrick Reed is the tough one. I think he's an interesting bet, actually. He's 1.15x on Super Draft. I don't love that price. 85, what's he, 85? Yeah, 84. He's just a little all over the place, as you kind of alluded to. I like if it plays very hard. He's a crafty player. He makes putts. He grinds really tough. But similar to Ricky, it seems like he has moments where he's lost out there. He makes a lot of mistakes. So I'm definitely going to be using him as an upside play, but I think you could do a lot safer, even if you go a little lower, like Fitzy, even Finau. I know we didn't see him. I think they play pretty well, and I don't know. No, Tony?
It's something. Finau has not been good. I don't know what.
Tore up a fake track in Utah. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
He shot it was something like ridiculous. I think maybe 59. Chad, if you know it, pointed out. I saw his scar card. He broke a course record in his off week.
Well, maybe he found something, but he has not been good. And normally we see maybe some lackluster results out of Finau, and it's like the putter or the short game that holds him back. And in that case, I'd be more interested. But really, he just hasn't been good. I don't like the 8K range at all. I think the 9K range is loaded. Even the bottom nines, like the bottom nines are loaded, and the upper sevens are loaded. So for me, the whole 8K range just kind of gets
hybrid balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot this week.
So one guy I definitely want, actually 2. First, real quick, Sanjay used to be like the model of consistency. Now he's just consistently pretty bad. He's lost it with the irons in 4 straight, lost with the putter in 3 out of 4. He's grinding out made cuts, but do you have any inkling that he turns it around, or are you just waiting and seeing right now?
Yeah, not really. As a guy that just likes to kind of look at the numbers from the last 4 or 5 starts and make my decision from that, there's just nothing you can see in those numbers. Now, if you want to take a shot with him and say maybe this is the week, sure. But I mean, there's nothing that I can see from looking at his results and any of his stats that lead me to believe, oh, well, maybe this is going to happen and I think he's going to turn around. I haven't seen anything. Good golfer, but for me, if you're playing him this week, you're literally taking just a shot and praying. And
yeah,
I try not to do that.
Oh, I'll be praying. Yeah. And chat, appreciate it. We got a bunch of people. Yeah. Finau shot 59 at Victory Ranch. That means probably nothing, but I'm still going to mention it. All right. Last guy. So he's also playing 6 straight weeks, and I'll make the reverse joke that you made about Hovland. He gets to rest because he misses the cut so often. It's Jason Day, who it took him to rename the tournament for him to be successful at Muirfield Village. He looked good last week. He was 7th. Typical Jason Day. He gained 3 strokes around the green and 3 strokes with the putter. But now people are starting to kind of go to him. Do you jump off? Do you bank it? Or do you actually jump on?
Yeah, I don't think I'll play him. He was good. The ball striking was okay. And he did, kind of a well-rounded effort, decent ball striking, good short game. And that's what you're going to see from Day when he's playing well. One of the best short game players in the world. Even if the stats haven't indicated that recently, when he's playing well, the chipping and the putting is off the charts. But no, not for me. I couple guys in the upper 7 range that I think are as good as Day, with way more consistency than Day, which that's the key, really. I mean, we haven't seen a lot out of him to say that he really has that ability to contend. Now, he was good. He was T7 last week, but I think there's a couple guys in the 7K range who have been more consistent than him that I think have just every bit as much win equity as he does right now. Now, Jason Day was great however many years ago, but I don't know. I don't think he's the same player as when he was number 1 in the world. We haven't seen that in quite a while out of him.
That's fair. And there's a lot of plays here in the upper 7s, and we're going to dive right in. I want to say really quick, Chad, I say it every time, and it's never not true. If you haven't signed up for Awesemo Plus, you want to get behind the paywall, come check us out. There's plenty of golf. Baseball is starting. Basketball is starting. Football eventually, in theory, is going to be here. Come on in. We have tools. We have projections, ownership. I know we always reference how, this is going to be an ownership play. Well, you can get your eyes on Awesemo's ownership. Makes a huge difference. We have packages if you want to try it out for a week. If you want to go, a little more cost effective with a month, or you should just get the annual. It'll be stuck with us for years on end. The decade pass. That's the Tim Frank special. But yeah, come on in. We have everything you need. And like I always say, just give it a try. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul. You spent a week in there or a month. No big deal. So do that. But here we go. 7K range. These are starting to be some pretty good multipliers over on Super Draft. The 1.2, 1.3Xs. Neiman, Paul Casey. Like, this is guys I don't want to deal with. Casey, Sergio, Leishman, Spieth. Talk to me about this upper. We'll split it. We'll go upper 7s. What do you see here with the Euros and then the guys playing well with Poulter, Streelman, and Doc?
I don't understand why Casey's 7,900. I know he'll be very, very popular, but it just seems like a misprice to me. I know he's only played once and he was T32, and that doesn't create a lot of excitement, but the ball striking was there. He's plus 5.2. And we've just seen him over the last 3-4 years. If you want to talk long-term form, very consistent guy. Won Valspar twice, and this isn't Valspar, but he's kind of knocked out the monkey off his back as far as a guy who doesn't win. And I don't know, it just feels like a misprice to me. I would put him 8,500 with Answer and Woodland and guys like that, and I know he'll be popular, but he's just one of those guys that I don't know, even at high ownership, I don't know if I can pass up just because the consistency is really good. And only playing once, I'm not sure why he's only played once, but when he played, he was fine. The T32 doesn't concern me because the underlying stats were a lot better than that.
Yeah, listen, I think he's going to be a great, solid cash play for you. Makes cuts, does his thing. Pretty indifferent on the tournament side. I'll probably be around the field. He's not going to be a big stand for me, but he's not going to be a fade either. I'm much. All right, so I like Sergio. I don't want to say quite a bit, but I definitely have interest. He's a good driver of the ball. We've seen him 3 times post break. The results were but he gained off the tee in all 3. He gained 10 strokes on the approach at RBC. Not good with the putter, 0 for 3. Do you like the course for him? And then Leishman, I already mentioned, I'm not going to get him right. He's all over the map. Was terrible last week. Do you want to go back to him?
No, I don't want to go back to him. Well, I don't want to brag. It would be going to him because I didn't go to him last week.
Okay. Wow, we get it.
Yeah, not to like victory lap or anything. No, I mean, just another one to get. Like, who knows? He has not been good since we've come back. And looking at the numbers, from last week, there's nothing that makes me want to play him. I do like Sergio. Like you alluded to, we saw him 3 times. Even in the missed cut, though, the ball striking was good. Was phenomenal at RBC, and then decent again the week after that. I think that was Travelers. So he's been good. I mean, Niemann has been just like a model of consistency. If you want a guy week in and week out is going to be positive off the tee and on approach, and I like that. I mean, it's just, we're going back to, I don't even know, probably 15, 20 events back before the break. The guy just week in, week out, positive off the tee, positive on approach. And we've seen him win, we've seen him contend. This is a tougher field, but I don't mind him at 7,900 either. Doesn't have quite the long-term pedigree as a guy like Casey or Sergio, but he's a young dude with tons of amateur pedigree. Was he number 1 in the world? I don't mind Niemann either.
Yeah, listen, Niemann's a damn good player. If it looks like, if I stick with my narrative that's going to play much harder, he gets the biggest bump down against guys like Leishman, Sergio. Those guys can handle it. I know they can. I'm definitely going to go to them for tournament targets. Leash is a wild card. Sergio, much more consistent. But before Leishman's last week, he had gained on the approach in like 8 straight. So I feel good about that. Chad already needled me about not going to Streelman. Listen, he does his thing, but I'd have a tough time going to him. He's gained 5 strokes putting in both events. Ball striking has been very good too. He's just clicking right now. So if you want to continue to ride that, more power to you. I probably won't though, and hope that I can get away with it. I mean, do you like him or Redmond?
I'm not going to Streelman. He's been great. There's nothing you can say. 7th.
No, he has.
2nd at the Travelers. The ball striking's been really good after I just tried to put him in a coffin and call him a guy that never, ever contends. He's turned into like Bryson Jr. But
the ooze.
I mean, he's going to be – people are going to play him. I don't think he's going to be like a 3% flyer. It's just not the style of player that I really love. Doesn't win. I'm destined to put him over the line and he's going to win. No, I don't like him. Not a huge scorer, not a winner, old boring guy. No, not for me.
And he's cash play for me.
He's going to be more popular than he should be. Redmond, no, I don't think so.
Nope.
He's been very good, but after the first round at Rocket Mortgage kind of really tailed off. Just don't love him on a tougher course, stronger field, and I think there's a lot of other plays in this range that I like.
This is just, I'll say this because it's very fair points of like, if you wanted to make a case for some of these guys, it's pretty easy to do it. It's just what you prioritize. So if you prioritize recent form, you're probably going to Streelman and Redmond. If you're prioritizing who you think is just the best golfer, it's probably going to take you to maybe like Sergio and Leishman. If you're going psycho scoring, it's probably Niemann. If you're going for just insane people that I don't know why you would play them, you'll probably go with me and play Benny On, who found something on Friday. But other than that, it's a little tricky. And then you have like Poulter, Kisner, Billy Ho, who surged on Sunday. Talk to me about this is a dead range for me, but talk to me about the lower 7K range.
Well, I got plays down here.
Okay. Is it Shane Lowry?
Kind of piggyback on what you said. for me, the harder the course gets, the stronger the field gets, the closer it gets to something like a major. Now, this isn't a major. I think the more I lean on long-term form and like quality golfers, guys like Sergio, guys like Leishman, over the guys that are just coming in hot who maybe don't have the same pedigree, haven't won tournaments, guys like Streelman, guys like Redman. I think the tougher it plays, the tougher the field. I want the tried and true guys, like Casey, like Sergio, like Leishman, because I think that's what the leaderboard is going to look like on Sunday. And that's what you see at majors. The cheaper guys that do well, they tend to be guys like Brendan Grace or Lowry, or guys like that, guys that have won big events, not kind of your no-name Kevin Streelmans. But just lock him in. I should just bet Streelman right now, shouldn't I?
We might have to after this show. No, I agree though. I mean, you see all the time, and I'm treating this like a major. I really am. That could be wrong. Now that we're going to talk more about that on Live Before Lock tomorrow, but I'm really treating this like it's going to play very difficult. And that's just a different type of player. Traditionally, you'll see some guys get in the mix over others, but it's a different type of build. You claim you've got dudes down here. I want to hear this. Is it Shane Lowry? Is it Oost, who almost shot? Did you see Oosty's back nine?
No, I did not.
Okay. He didn't record a number lower than a 5 until the last hole. He had 7 5s, a 6, and a 4. Think about that. You know how hard that is to do?
That doesn't lead me to want to play him. So no, I am not playing him. I like lower than that. So we'll start with Keegan at 7,200.
Oh, yeah.
Ball striking, led the field in ball striking, plus 12 last week, which is insanely good. Putter was awful, as it's usually is with him. T39. Not in love with the price. Like I thought when I saw before pricing came out, I said, Keegan's going to be a play just based on how he struck it last week. But then I saw some of the names around him. Lucas Glover at 7,100. He's another one. He's going to be popular. But I mean, literally this almost the dead same type of play as Keegan. Ball striker, older guy, won a lot of tournaments 10 years ago, but hasn't done much recently. But Glover's numbers have been so good since we've come back. He's finished 20th, 21st, 20th, 21st, 23rd. Ball striking has been anywhere from +4 to +9.5 over those events. So the striking it great, consistently good. I just think he's a better play than Keegan, and he's cheaper. So I guess Glover would be my favorite play down here. He'll be popular though. He'll kind of, I don't know.
He'll garner some interest.
You're not excited. He doesn't have. You like the wild man where you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, like actual insane people.
Yes.
Keegan, he had a hole in one, so that bolstered it a little, but there's no doubting that ball striking was insane. And that's what he does. He has to because he can't putt. So there's two guys here that I'm not saying I'm necessarily going back, but I definitely haven't ruled them out, and they've been terrible. Scotty Scheffler's first. He killed me last week. I needed him so badly to get through, and he missed. Really been bad post-COVID here. Do you have any interest? Do you think he can turn around these approach numbers?
Scheffler?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think he will because he's a good golfer, good young player. You maybe would put him in somewhere close. A couple months ago, we'd have him, close to the Hovland, Morikawa, not quite there. He'll turn it around, but just, kind of as the same boat as Sung Jae. There's nothing I see that says, let's take a shot on him this week. Besides, he's a good player. He's underpriced, but people still play him every week. It's like the whole world is just tilting their faces off, and it's just been miscut, T55. So no, I mean, I'm not going to get there this week. I'll let other people try and guess when it's Scotty Scheffler week.
That's fair. Next guy, and then we'll get to the cheapies and we'll get out of here. Joel Dahman was one of the most popular plays of the week last week. He shot legitimately 15 over. Now he's projected for only a couple percent ownership. Do you just go right back to him and say, you know what? It was 36 bad holes. Or is that not the answer?
I am so horrible at this type of play, this type of decision. The only reason I would be going right back to him is if he lost like 6 strokes putting and off the tee and on approach was still good. But he was just awful all the way around. Kind of like Rose was, like so like like shockingly bad to where you're just like, I don't know, that was really bad.
It was bad.
It's just not my forte. I don't know. This is like
Yeah,
you're better at this stuff than I am, but it wasn't good, and it kind of scared me.
So I'm trying to keep this obviously what I'm truly thinking. Normally in this spot, it would be a definite buy. People overreact. It's not a big deal. But if this course plays really hard, I don't think that Dahman is exactly the type of player. So that's what freaks me out a little bit.
Have you ever, and this happens to me, like you play a guy and you watching like Shot Tracker, and it almost ingrains it even more of how bad they were. You're like, this guy wasn't even close. Like,
yeah, most of my plays are like that.
It was like, and it's almost like if I just saw like, oh yeah, he was owned, was playing good, and he missed the cut. Yeah, we need to like double back. He'll be a good play. But it's like having watched Shot Tracker and watching like all
forecast now.
Oh yeah, Tourcast and watching all like 160 strokes that he took in those 2 rounds. I think I scarred myself, to be honest. So no.
Yeah, if I thought that the course was going to play exactly the same as last week, I would jam him. And I feel really good about it, but I don't know if that's the case. All right, here we go. We got about 5-7 minutes left. I don't have much down here, so it's sub 7K. I'll just start off. Ryan Moore is here. I get it. Oh wow. Okay, I thought you were going to be agreeing with that. That's not the answer.
He's been awful.
Yeah, I know, but the ball striking's been okay.
It's been okay.
It's been okay.
It hasn't been enough to raise the alarm.
Brah.
Not enough to raise the alarms on FantasyGolfMan's
okay.
ball striking.
Who are you going to talk about? Bezenhout? Lanto? Like, the floor is yours. There's nobody down here. Chez?
Oh, there's plays. There's Taylor Gooch at 6,500. Roll your eyes.
We just talked about people who aren't good in real tournaments, and now we're going to Taylor Gooch in the majors. That's what we want. Like,
hey, he gets hot, and he was hot last week.
Dangerously hot.
He can get dangerously hot. Like we've said, he's like kind of a guilty pleasure of mine because just 3 times a year, it's like unconscious irons. So he was good last week. So I don't mind going back to him at 6,500. I mean, Norlander was like the kind of chalky punt last week, but I mean, I would go back to him again. He's played well. He was T31 last week, a little more with the putter, but still the +1 ball striking, not bad for a really cheap, terrible player. He was awesome at Rocket Mortgage. He was decent at Travelers. He missed the cut at Colonial, but the ball striking was great. That was all putter. I think he's playable again at 6,300. I mean, you're not going to find these types of stats, these types of finishes out of anybody else down here, like sub 6,500. You're probably not going to find these stats or finishes out of anybody sub 6,800, to be honest. No.
Norlander is the Kelly Craft Fish play of the week. I'm positive. I don't like him at all. Chat seems to love him. They're with you. He was not good last week. He saved himself with the putter coming off Rocket Mortgage.
He was still +1. I mean, the ball striking was still positive.
He lost on the approach, though.
We don't care. It's one thing. We don't look at approach. We just look at the with T plus approach.
So normally I'd agree with you, but he's not. He is a straight iron guy. He's not, to me, a guy who's going to gain tee to green. He's just going to gain with the irons per se. Maybe I shouldn't say that. He's not terrible off the tee, but I'll tell you his leak. It's around the green. He's lost in 5 of 6. If it plays tough, Henrik Norlander, who will be the obvious punt, he's not even coming close to my lineup. So I get it. It makes sense. It checks out. If he is owned, like, you think he could approach like 10%?
Probably. Well, he was around that. He was like 8% last week. I think people will go back to him. I just want to say this to all the viewers / listeners. I'm pretty much on the wrong end of disagreements with Ben every time. And we saw it last week. Even though Hovland finished 3rd, I was still on the wrong end of that one. So if we're disagreeing, you're probably going to want to listen to Ben.
Don't let it see what he's trying to do. You're just trying to shift the ownership, and then it's like, wow, FantasyGolfMan with the 1% owned Norlander. I listen. Can he play good? Yeah, he's got some talent, but I don't see it at all. I would easily rather play Matthias Schwab with $100 more blindly.
I'll give you the eye roll. I mean, come on.
No, that's blindly. I'd rather take $200 and play Sebastian Munoz if I had to at no ownership. He's striking it fine. Troy Merritt is striking it really well.
What about CT Pan?
All right. I was clicking through, just ruling people out. I click CT Pan. I'm just like, he gained 9 strokes on the approach last week. How is that even possible? He was horrible too.
Yeah, he was horrible.
Everything else.
The irons were good. 6,200. I don't know. I don't love him. I don't love anybody down here. But honestly, for sub 6,500, I think when we're talking like strictly punts, you're never going to love anyone. But
of course not. Yeah.
If you can find something, I mean, most of these guys are absolutely awful. Some of these guys, I mean, I found something with Norlander. Second in approach. The irons were great last week. For me, that's enough to give him a shot as a strictly at punt at 6,200.
You're not, if you found someone who's striking all the boxes here, they wouldn't be 6,000. Like, that's just the whole point.
We're looking for one box to be checked. That's it.
Box. And it can be anything. They love the course. They're playing well. They're an incredible putter. They're incredible drive. Like, you're not going to find multiple. Do you have any interest in just like the pure talent Euros, like Wiesberger, Haotong Li, or is that just like EVR? You're just blindly stabbing. For me, it's more kind of, you're not going to get burned too often. I think you can do without them if you really don't want to go there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an MME guy, so it's like if you're making 150, you can kind of take some, we'll take 5-10% of this, 5-10% of that. Haotong Li, we've said that before, very, very inconsistent, but has a lot of upside. But it's just really hard, especially with these Euro guys that we haven't seen, because the European Tour has been whatever. What is back? The Challenge Tour is back now? I don't even know.
They played last week, the Austrian Open, but we haven't seen like Schwab and these guys. I don't know what they've been doing. No,
I'm not going there with any of these guys. The guys that we haven't seen, I won't be playing this week.
And I'm similar. I know people, like, I'm a big Matthias Schwab guy. I may have a little, but this is not an area I plan to attack as a whole. I'm not going to play Norlander, but I'm not going to play much of anything here. Even my good buddy, Bud Cauley, he'll be in the player pool, but it won't be like last week. He's just been obviously I have to adjust. It's not working.
This might be the first week that you have not touted Bud Cauley.
No, he's still in the player pool though. It wasn't that bad. Last thing I'll say, I just want to clarify this. So I tweeted out the other day, just picture of eyeballs with Will McGirt back in the field. I was more just shocked he's in the field. He's not even coming close to my lineups. It's just good to see him back. I forgot he existed and he's here. Your boy.
Yeah, I don't know. He had to have some sort of injury, right?
Torn labrum.
Torn labrum, huh?
Yep.
I feel like he played on. I'm gonna check. He played on the Corn Ferry Tour at some point.
Okay.
Missed the cut at TPC Colorado.
So that's not good.
Listen,
no, he's going to work his way back. You gain nothing by playing him.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know.
Don't do that.
That's just a blast from the past. He's been gone for a long time, hasn't he?
A very long time. Like I truly forgot. That's what I was saying. I was just shocked he was in the field. I haven't thought about him in so long.
Him and Lingmerth won in back-to-back years.
What a world.
Two just terrible players.
Yeah. And this, I mean, you're going to find not much down here, chat. We'll dig in to this range tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern. Danny Willett, last guy I'll say, Terrell, I'm with you. I think that's actually pretty interesting as a flyer. So don't mind it. Listen, like I said, there's a lot of plays. This is an invitational, so it'll be a little easier to make the cut, but we'll get into all that tomorrow. Remember, Super Draft is giving away 15 tickets tomorrow night on our Live Before Lock show. There's no reason to not at least stop on by. So if you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up in Awesemo Slack. It's going to be a good tournament. As always, chat, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I'll see everyone tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern for Live Before Lock.